You're listening to the Call Kent podcast, where Kent C. Dodds answers questions and gives insights to software engineers like you. Now, let's hear the call.
Hello, Kent. My name is Joel Arkey. What do you think about resumability in Qwik? About a year ago, there was a talk about Wiz and Angular working more closely together, and Wiz was the tool that inspired Qwik in the first place. However, so far, Angular only committed to working on partial hydration support, not the full resumability like Qwik. So do you think React developers should care about this? If so, should they use partial hydration tools like Astro today, or ask for something like resumability to be added to React itself?
And that was the call. Here's what Kent had to say.
What's up, Jay Larkey? Thank you for the question. So, Qwik. I think maybe your question was inspired by a post on X about why hasn't Qwik taken off, and I think there are a lot of reasons. But your question is more like whether folks in the React ecosystem should really care about full resumability or that sort of thing. So, for me, the resumability is. I remember when Mishko talked with me about this in over dinner in Croatia back in like 2022 or 21, where he was telling me about this idea. It sounded really interesting. And I just remember feeling that it was a solution looking for a problem. Now, it's certainly there is a measurable improvement that you can see when you go with the resumability approach, where the HTML document has all the information that the application needs, and then as the user interacts with the application, network requests are made to go and get the JavaScript necessary to respond to those interactions. And so that means that you don't have to send templates, you don't have to send event handlers or anything until these events happen. So you just have like a major event delegation thing, and any time any event happens, then you go and get the JavaScript necessary to respond to that event. Now, of course, anybody who's been around in the industry for a while will like their first question about this will be, well, okay, what do you do about network latency for something like that? So there's a category of applications where that wouldn't really work at all, because the application needs to be fully client side. It's PWA or something. But for lots of the applications that we build, that doesn't really that's not something that we really care about. And so let's just set that to the side and say, yes, our application does require a network. Well, with that, then you still have network latency for things like button clicks and that sort of thing. And so that's not great. You don't get to control that. You could deploy it onto Cloudflare workers and be within 20 millisecond ping time of them for most of the world. But even that, you don't control how good the user's connection to their internet is and various things like that. So, okay, let's acknowledge that it's very possible you could be in a situation where the user interaction latency is just too poor to make that worth it. All right. So what do? Well, you can preload this stuff. And Jay Larkey, I think you've heard all of these arguments before, but hopefully this is helpful for other people listening. So okay, you're going to preload stuff. Well, how do you know what you preload? Well, okay, I guess we'll preload almost everything on the page. There are like intelligent ways to preload things and automated ways to do that. But it seems like a whole lot of work. Whereas like the alternative is just to write your application. Well, first of all, lots of people are just fine having JavaScript load onto the page to make the application work. But let's say you are very, very interested in load performance and things. Okay, if that's what your interest is in, then you need to write your application in such a way that it delivers the HTML document to the user as quickly as possible. And if you're really interested in performance and perceived performance and user experience, then you're going to server render all the dynamic bits as well. And Vercel is really working on making this as as fast as possible while still enabling some dynamic bits. It's kind of hard. They're doing the partial pre-rendering stuff and stuff. I'm not totally convinced that that's worth the effort and frankly, the vendor lock-in. But I do think that that if you can push your if you're really, really interested in a very fast user experience, then push your server to the edge or your rendering. So Cloudflare Workers or Fly in multiple regions, which is what my personal website does. And then generate all the dynamic HTML and make sure that's fast. And so you cache things, and anything that can't be cached or whatever, then you're going to have a loading spinner of some kind so that you can get things really fast. And then that HTML document has links in it, it has forms in it. If you're progressively enhancing properly, then those forms should work even if the JavaScript hasn't showed up. And then you just load all the JavaScript in the background while the user is interacting with things. And if the network really is slow, then it falls back to the way that the browser has always worked. And I feel like that balances all the trade-offs really well. So in answer to your question, is resumability something that developers should really care about? At least in the React ecosystem, I really don't think so. I think that it is it's an interesting solution to for sure a real problem, but I don't actually see the problem being as significant as was portrayed by the Qwik team. Or at least to Mishko when he was talking with me. So anyway, hopefully that answers your question. If you have any follow-ups, feel free to call in again. And I hope you have a fantastic day.
This has been the Call Kent podcast. Learn more about Kent at kentcdodds.com and get your own questions answered at kentcdodds.com/calls.